I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Media Masterminds, R.I.P. Hot Rod, Roddy Piper, your host, Legend Pop, my co-host, as always, Mr. Benny Rose. Benny,
The
how are we
rose,
doing?
the rosebud is in the house. I'm good.
Rosebud in the house. How are
What's
you,
up?
Ben?
Good, man. A little
So
tired, but I'm good. How about you?
good. We did a show last. We went back to basics, and now we're back on the Google Hangout.
Yeah, who would have thought we keep going back and forth? Can't make up our damn mind.
I named the Hangout that I created. We are lazy bastards. That's what I created it as.
That sounds just fine.
Because we
Just
are
fine.
lazy motherfuckers.
Schedules haven't really been working in our favor, but at the end of the day, we got some good stuff to talk about, so it works out.
Exactly. I think this fits, a slow, summary kind of format of maybe every 2 weeks doing a show. That way news can build a little bit better and we have a lot more meat to talk about. Because last week's show, 2 weeks ago show, I thought came off really well. And the downloads have showed it. We've got a lot of downloads. So we got to thank everybody for listening. One of our most downloaded shows. And it shows that everybody stuck with us even though we were on hiatus for a month.
Yep. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're still lazy bastards.
So we're going to do the usual format, entertainment, do the news, what we're watching, the Benny Rose Thorn Prick, and then we'll go into video games, do the news, what we're playing, and my Pop's pick. So let's go straight into the news for news bit number one, a film that you saw, Benny, over the weekend, and you posted a little brief review video online. That is the Fantastic Four film, which just got released. So why don't you kick us off with the news?
Look, I'll for the listeners, I took a bullet for everybody, okay? I took one for the team. Nobody wanted to go and spend their money. And being that we talk about this stuff all the time, there's no right way to justify not giving at least one of us a true opinion on a movie like this that has been getting some of the worst reviews out there. Thank you. Okay. I mean, for anybody that ends up watching on YouTube, I just got like a nice close-up of Pop's eye. Thank you for that.
My eye. Nobody wants to look at my face.
It's hanging down. But it's tough because I knew what I was walking into, and I didn't go in with any expectations. Like literally, I expected to fall asleep, and I dozed off for a little bit. But the movie, at the end of the day, the movie is not unwatchable by any means, but it is extremely boring. There is no reason for the movie to have the name Fantastic Four. If they change the name, change the characters' names, and maybe even modified the powers a little bit, most people wouldn't even compare the two. People think like, oh, they're just trying to do like a knockoff superhero movie, which it doesn't even justify that. I'm going to leave everybody what I left online. Hashtag 1 week later. I'm not going to go much more into it because I just will spoil it and tell you not to waste your time. The fact that Rotten Tomatoes, had such a low score for it, I think it went up a little bit since the last time I checked. But it's like bombing even lower than Batman and Robin. That's brutal.
No, it made $25 million opening weekend, which is not very good at all. It's going to end up losing Fox a good amount of money, and I don't know if they ended up deserving it because all the news, that came out this week is kind of like everyone involved is disowning the movie outside of Fox because they don't want to get reverted back to Marvel. But the director came out and said how the studio made a bunch of changes, and the first script writer, or I don't know if he is even credited with script writing in the movie, released some pages of the script, and those were completely different. And that they were supposed to have these 3 big action scenes, and then the day before the movie shot, they got pulled. There's a lot of controversy with this film.
At the end of the day, somebody needs to take ownership for the piece of shit that was put out there. For, for the simple fact is, if it was good, you'd be praising it.
Right.
You take responsibility even if it wasn't your own film. And that's the part that gets me. It's not a Fox thing. It happens with a lot of studios. I just think that you said it before. You know, they don't want their rights to revert back to Marvel. I mean, they're already talking about a sequel. Why the hell would you put out a sequel when you know that the movie is not doing well?
Right.
You know, like it. Who are you justifying? Like, you're not justifying the characters. You're not justifying Fox's business acumen by any means. You know, I'm sure that deep down in the logical souls of these actors and actresses, they're not going to want to go and do this movie again, I wouldn't think, unless they're getting money that, where the hell are they getting it if they got money to recoup, you know,
Well,
from losing?
unless their contract is for multiple movies.
That's true, which would be dog shit taco for them. And, you know, it is what it is. I mean, look,
Well, even
go ahead.
one of the sites, I don't know which site it was, they had like scenes from the trailers, multiple trailers that didn't make the movie, and it was like almost, I think there was like 12 scenes that were in the trailers that didn't even make the movie, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
You know,
including the
sometimes that
parts when,
happens, but not that many scenes usually.
well, including the parts when the Thing actually had pants.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a scene when he's dropping out of the helicopter. He had some type of attire under his waist.
Oh, I
And
saw that scene wasn't in the movie, which is like, that was an action scene. Why wouldn't they include that in the movie?
because they're dumb and they said, "Hey, let's make the Thing not have a thing and create controversy. Maybe more people will talk about the movie." And it's just, what were they thinking?
I have to ask you. I mean, I guess it's a minor spoiler, or I haven't seen the film. But is Doctor Doom a human character in the movie?
Yes.
Okay, so that was something that originally was speculated that was going to be changed, and he was going to be like someone from another dimension or something like that. So at least they kept him as a character, a regular human.
He would have been better off as an alien.
That doesn't really speak too much to that movie, then.
Put it this way, you know, there was also a lot of rumors that he was going to be like this hacker named Doom
Right,
and
right.
stuff like that. And apparently, you know, the actor went on record saying that wasn't the case. Yet when you first see him, it's not even really spoilers. And if it is, I don't really care, because you should be getting all your knowledge from the Media Masterminds and not spending $6 to go see this movie.
That's a cheap movie to see for $6.
Well, that's what I did, but I used my stubs for it, so I ended up having $4 left for popcorn. But
it works like that?
When you first see him, he's sitting in it like pretty much like a, you know, little bachelor pad, but it's all teched out, and he's got like this stupid looking technical monocle on his eye, and when he looks at the door, it opens the door, and this asshole is playing Assassin's Creed. So I'm like, all right, this movie is gonna shit on itself right now. So there's no relevance to that. There's no reason for it, and it was a waste of 5 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. The rest of the movie was tolerable. I just didn't need to see that. And
so that was the worst part of the movie? I find that hard to believe.
That and 1 year later, hashtag.
Okay.
So I'm done talking about this shitstorm. If you're interested, be sure to go to the Media Masterminds Facebook page. I put a 5-minute Biddy Rose rant on there, and you could share my picture with the Thing with a little smiley face of my opinion on this movie overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's about it for Fantastic Four then. And another bit of news that we had that was it's a little bit older now, but I think it's something that we need to talk about because, like we did the last show with the Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman, the Deadpool trailer was released.
Yeah.
And it is pretty much exactly what was released for Comic-Con, but we didn't discuss it really in detail. So it debuted on Conan O'Brien, which was kind of interesting. It made Conan O'Brien MA for that episode of his show, and Ryan Reynolds was on to talk about the character as well. I enjoy the trailer. I'm the more I see of this movie, the more I'm looking forward to it, and which is something I didn't think would be the case. Again, it's a Fox movie, and it's very violent and vulgar. It's not a children's movie, so it can get a lot of hype on the internet, a la something like Snakes on a Plane, but might not turn into box office money with all the hype because it's a rated R superhero film.
I think for once, in that sense of category, I think people are going to really go out of their way to try to see this movie because it's been something that's been in demand for a while, and the Deadpool craze is out of control. It's more than it's ever been. I think it's great that the character's getting the recognition, but I hope that it's not just a lot of hipster fanboy jibba jabba going on with Deadpool. Because I mean, with all the cons I go to, like I've said it on earlier shows, and Deadpool is one of those characters you see at least 5 people dressed up as Deadpool. If he's not normal Deadpool, he's Captain America Deadpool, he's whatever, female Deadpool. But at the end of the day, it's great. I think the movie is gonna bring money in. Is it gonna alienate Fox in the sense of people are gonna expect more rated R films, and I don't think any other movies really need to be in that category. It'd be cool to see a little bit of X-Men get a little maybe mature with Wolverine, but we'll see. That's a different story altogether. But I think the trailer looked great. I like that they included scenes that we knew they were putting in, which were reenactments of test footage,
which is how the movie got made.
Right. And I thought that it transitioned well from CG to real life. I like when he's on the bridge and he's doing his little rap diddle or whatever. And I love the way Colossus looks. That's like my favorite part of the entire trailer. I think that they finally got him right. Hopefully, he'll play the part better than the previous X-Men movies, because he was fine. He was just kind of there. And I felt he could have had a bigger presence, being the type of character that he is. But he's
always been a boring character to me.
I was gonna say, he's always, kind of under the radar. But when you have powers like that, he was really underutilized, I feel, with the exception of Days of Future Past.
They don't utilize how powerful he is.
Right, with the exception of a little bit in Days of Future Past. A little bit.
Well, 2 interesting things about Deadpool. The first thing I already forgot. But the second thing is that now they're speculating. I remembered it now. But the second thing, anyway, is that they're speculating that Deadpool 2, if it does well, will take the spot of Fantastic Four 2, which already has been dated for, I believe, summer of 2017.
Thank God.
So they're already trashing the possible Fantastic Four 2 film and replacing it with Deadpool. So maybe they'll end up with another reboot of Fantastic Four. Maybe they'll do the Sony gimmick where they'll get Marvel to help out and co-produce. Something like that might be in the cards. I don't know. But the other thing was that Deadpool comes out Valentine's Day weekend, and that's usually an era where there isn't very many good movies, February.
Right.
So it won't have any competition really until Batman vs. Superman. So if it gets some good word of mouth, it could make some bank for Fox, actually. I think the release date was a smart move on their part.
I agree. I mean, it's usually, love movie, drama kind of season. And you might get couples choosing this over because, there's a lot of, mixed gender interest in the character, which could definitely help them out.
I think we're two couples that will be
going to see this
instead of a romantic, stupid rom-com.
Yeah, we're gonna see a real popcorn flick early in the year, but I look forward to it. I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the more I see of it, the more I like it, and I think they're gonna poke a little fun at the X-Men Origins movie, which something leaked that they were going to somehow, and they'll probably mention some things along the way. It'd be interesting if they have Cable in the movie also. There's a character that a lot of people want to see.
Yeah, I heard that there's a chance that he's being considered for 2, which means that he may not have been thought about, but maybe there is a cameo or maybe even a mention, which is always cool. Fox is not known to do the Easter eggs thing well, so we'll see if they improve that along with this.
Right. Well, they're starting to emulate Marvel between like the Wolverine and Days of Future Past. They had those after credit scenes.
Yeah, with the exception of Fantastic Four had nothing, which I'm happy for.
They're just
Unless
gonna
unless you're giving me the whole middle of the movie that was missing as the after credit, I have nothing
they're
more
just
to
gonna
say.
forget the whole movie even happened.
Right. That
One
it should have been a "I'm sorry" at the end.
one quick bit that I didn't put in the format, but it just came to me was that some Star Wars pictures were released today. Did you happen to take a look at those?
I saw that they posted, but unfortunately, I was at an event and the service was really bad. But I heard some good things. I did see one picture that looked like kind of like a crawler alien, kind of like.
Yeah,
But I
and
liked on the side.
practical effects.
Yeah, and the side of it looked like there was a Sagat from Street Fighter mask on the side of it. I don't know if you noticed that. It's pretty
That
funny.
I didn't really look at the pictures in depth, but it's another thing I'm getting hyped up for this movie, and all the pictures and everything that's come out have made the movie look very good. I mean, it's not like Deadpool where you weren't expecting much and now you are. Star Wars, you're going to always expect a lot, but everything that's come out has shown that it looks like it's building towards the right place.
Agreed. I definitely think it'll be a nice refresh for the end of the year with some of the trash that we've gotten over the last couple of months. We've gotten some good stuff, but
and again, it has the good release date of December, and then that can pay off for them for December and January. They'll make all their money those 2 months, and probably still into February.
Agreed. Well, between that and the Star Wars game too, it's just a lot of Star Wars overload. Well, 2 Star Wars games technically.
Right.
It's just Star Wars overload.
Yeah, I think that's done all deliberately, though.
No, of course. I think that it's a unique time to do that because how many times have we gotten good Star Wars games?
Right.
Very rare.
Well, in the past, in a thing that's long gone now is when a Star Wars game movie would come out, a game for that movie would come out. When Phantom Menace came out, they made a game for it. Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, they made a direct game. Whereas that kind of movie game genre is totally dead. They don't make movie games anymore.
Thank God.
Sometimes you had the rare one that was good, like Captain America was pretty good.
Spider-Man 2.
Right. And even Amazing Spider-Man was pretty good.
Meh. It was better than 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, but meh.
Right. Well, let's move on into what we're watching. I have a few things, a couple movies and a couple TV shows. Do you want to start with what we're watching?
It's been very limited for me. I caught up on my, which I don't think we spoke about on here, but you've gotten me into Rick and Morty. And
I don't think you had watched it at that point yet.
Yeah, I love the show. I think the show is great, and I wish I didn't miss out on it. When I looked at pictures that I've seen in the past, I didn't know what to think because if you don't see something for it, you have no idea what's coming. And I'm really enjoying it. It's great. Just started season 2 yesterday with the wife. She's away for work for a couple days, so I have to hold off into seeing the next 2, well, possibly 3. So that's my big thing. Movie wise, it's been a little light. I've been kind of just watching stuff on Netflix over and over again. I did finally watch the Rogue cut of the Days of Future Past.
And what did you think of that?
I thought it was cool to a degree. I was watching it for a while, obviously, from you when you saw it. A lot of the differences aren't really until like the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
So I kept watching the movie, questioning like, am I watching the right version?
There's a couple little scenes added in there that weren't in the original, also.
That
had nothing to do with Rogue. Yeah.
No, maybe I caught that, but it just since you didn't see her and you have this whole name, I was just thrown off. But then once it finally all came into play, a little darker than I expected, but pretty cool. And then I actually jumped into Twin Peaks last night.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a show I'd like to jump into and watch.
It's a little bizarre. I mean, we knew that from the get-go. It's on there. It's on Netflix, so it's our type of stuff,
Yeah.
Wayward Pines, Silent Hill, Alan Wake, but it seems very slow. I think
Right.
maybe I got through one episode. It felt like it was like a mini movie. So it might be tough to get through, but I'm going to keep pushing for it. And
let me just say this before you jump into something else.
yeah,
I've watched Rick and Morty, and I've watched the past 3 episodes of season 2. It's very good. I mean, like I said, the first season is unbelievable. If you haven't watched it, you should. And now you should start DVRing the second season. Today they also announced it's been renewed already for season 3, so there's no hope. There's no thinking it'll get canceled after this. You have another, you have time to watch these shows.
yeah, it really is great though. It's funny.
And it has tons of references to everything in it, from sci-fi. It has tons of references, and they're not plain as day right in front of your face. They're not dumbed down for the audience. You have to kind of figure out things. And but onto with the Twin Peaks is, I don't think we even discussed it last show rather. But what was your final thoughts on Wayward Pines? Did we discuss Wayward Pines? I don't think we did.
We did very, very briefly. I thought that it was a decent ending. I was hoping for more, and I know that we're not going to probably get that. But it ended the way I think it should have ended, with kind of like a cliffhanger. It was one of those shows overall that I felt that when you first start watching it, you have a lot of this cryptic, weird stuff going on in the town, and they don't really have too much that's revealed. And then all of a sudden they just start laying it out for you, and
Right.
they kind of hold your hand for the rest of the show. I got a little turned off by that, but I still watched it. And maybe if they do another twist on that, I know like you had mentioned that like all the books that are out there are based on his character.
Right.
So, they haven't really explored, the
you know what? I'm kind of okay if that's the end of it. It's rare that something like that gets done and they don't try to cash in and make multiple things out of it. They said it was a miniseries. Keep it as a miniseries. I'm not against them doing a second season or somehow doing a second story, but I'm okay with it ending as is. I enjoyed the run. I agree with what you said. It's very mysterious in the beginning, and they kind of hold your hand the rest of the way and show you everything and lay it out in front of you. You don't really need to figure anything out the rest of the way. And that was kind of a little bit of a letdown, but I still enjoyed it, and it kept my attention, and I wanted to watch all the episodes and see how it ended.
Agreed. Cool.
Movie-wise, I watched the Entourage movie, which is only for people that like Entourage. You're not going to watch the movie if you're not a fan of the TV show. And the movie is essentially a longer version of the TV show. I think they waited a little too long to make it, but if you like the TV show, you're going to like the movie. It's basically more of the TV show in a movie form.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
I also watched the Vacation reboot, because I watched that, I think, right after we did the show. It was the day after it came out, or the 2 days after it came out.
Sorry to hear that.
Right. And I could say the same thing for that as Fantastic. Well, it bombed, just like Fantastic Four. And obviously it wasn't expected to make as much money as Fantastic Four, but it's a watchable movie. I wouldn't say it's awful. I wouldn't say it's very good either, but it's a watchable movie. It's nowhere near as good as any of the 4 Vacation films, but it's watchable. The Chevy Chase cameo is completely ruined in the movie. I mean, it's not ruined, but it's too short, and they didn't find a good spot for him for any substance.
It's ruined.
Maybe he just can't do it.
Ruined.
And then the last thing that I can remember is the former Pops pick turned into a TV show. I talked about this a while ago. Is Wet Hot American Summer, and it's a prequel. And Netflix picked it up as a prequel TV series kind of thing of 10 episodes or so. I think it is 10 or 8.
10.
8? 10? I think it's 8.
Thought it was 10. Could be wrong.
Either way, it's really
a miniseries.
It's done really well, and I really enjoyed it. I hope they do more of it. They got all the original cast members back, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and for something that was made over 10 years ago, a lot of the characters still look the same. Some of them don't, and they don't even mention why they look any different than they do.
When they're supposed to be younger.
Right. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it's something I'll revisit and rewatch, and I hope they do some more of it.
Yeah, Jess and I actually watched both as well, and I agree with you pretty much on every point. It was amusing to see such a clever concept put into reality, because I feel like that's something that people would sit and bullshit about when creating first drafts of stuff, and then they'll be like, oh, what about this idea? And then they'll be like, that people aren't gonna people that's not gonna fly with people. Let's take these characters, let's make them way younger than they are, and then when you have that meeting again, it's like, let's go back, even though they look older. Like some of them obviously played it off really well, but some didn't. Certain someone that looked like Harry Dunn, but we won't get into that. But yeah, no, I thought it was really, really unique show slash movie, and they did a great job with those.
Yeah, I think they handled it pretty well, and there's a lot of scenes that you could tell that the full cast wasn't together for
Right.
it, but I think they handled it better than they did for Arrested Development, which they had a hard time getting the full cast back together outside of a day or two of shooting, which is probably similar to this.
Right.
And they've said for a while, for Arrested Development fans, that they were going to recut the episodes to make it a little more watchable, make it seem like the cast was kind of together for a lot of things, and maybe add some scenes in. That was months ago, and they haven't come out yet. And then apparently they're going to make a new season of Arrested Development, which fans might want and some fans might not, based off of how season 4 did. But I'm happy with the original content that Netflix is producing, and I mean, there's tons more that I don't even watch that I hear are very good, as far as like some drama shows and stuff like that. They're producing some of the best stuff that's better than what's on TV.
True.
So I think that. Do you have anything else for what we're watching, or I think that was about it?
Jess and I had watched. There was another movie on there that was written by a cast member from SNL that lives in Staten Island, and
I've heard of it. What was it called? Staten Island Summer.
I think that's the name. Yeah, it was all right.
How was that? I was gonna watch it.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean,
from the looks of the trailer, it doesn't look like it was filmed in Staten Island, though.
It is. It's filmed at the Great Kills Pool. So, or at least it seems like it, because it looked familiar. Because I had a friend that lived like across the street from there, unless they only filmed the outside of it.
Right.
But it's exactly what it's supposed to be. Kind of like this other show that we watched with the summer. This is about lifeguards versus camp
counselors.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's on Netflix. You're not paying extra to see it. Give it a shot. There's definitely some funny stuff in it. I thought it was funny. Yeah.
Okay.
The main lifeguard is Major Douche, and you get enjoyment out of the torment that he gets and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, some of the characters are, kind of bland and generic, but there's some funny, memorable moments in there, and it's almost like they took the concept of Clerks with the employees that or at least Randall, not really giving a shit about his job,
right?
And they put it in this environment, where you're in charge of people's safety. So I think it was a clever little take. It's not amazing by any means, and it's not hysterical, but there's definitely funny moments. So I would definitely give it a shot.
All right, that sounds good. Then you're gonna end up having to do some more talking, because it's time for the Benny Rose Thorn.
Yeah, baby. Pricks in the house. All right, so we're jumping on a movie again, and this is actually a movie that I was going to pick 2 weeks ago, and I ended up not picking it because I didn't have it yet. Well, I had it on DVD, but it doesn't count.
Okay.
The movie I chose is an old Wes Craven movie. It's actually another one of my top horror movies. And it's not a traditional horror movie in the sense of, everybody would say Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. I like to pick the unique ones that had a different kind of impact on me. I love my Jason, I love my Freddy movies, but none of them really had a super impact, like watching them as a kid and kind of being freaked out. Like Child's Play 2 is one of those movies. I have those memories, and it holds a stamp in my timeline of just great horror movies. So this is another one. The movie is Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. This is a movie that came out a long, long time ago, 1991-ish. And it's funny because Everett McGill, who was in Twin Peaks and Dune, was in the movie along with Wendy Robbie. And it's funny because when I watched the first episode, I saw both of them, and I'm like, holy shit, so it's pretty cool to see them in something else. I'd never seen them in anything else before that. But it's pretty much, it's about a movie about this young kid that lives in the ghetto with his family. Basically, his mother's sick. They want to try to raise some money to help pay her bills and stuff like that. And his sister's boyfriend is the run-of-the-mill, thief that suggests that they break into a rich family's house and take their money, but then they find out that they're the landlords of like all the projects and stuff like that. So basically they try to sneak in and all this other stuff, and the house is not what you think it is. The people are not who you think they are. It gets a little weird and some dark, twisted stuff. And, watching it now, it's not as creepy as it was as a kid. But when I watched this, and this is one of those few movies I watched blind, like nobody told me about it before I saw it when I was younger. So I got freaked out when I first saw it, like just thinking about being this young kid, getting thrown in the basement, having all this weird, creepy stuff going on. And, it still holds the test of time for me. Like I can watch it. It's still enjoyable. Ving Rhames is the boyfriend, actually. He's a funny guy. And, it's gory for what it is. And, a lot of practical effects, no crazy CG like in the world we live now. So I appreciate stuff like that. But, yeah, I'm not going to go into too much detail. If you haven't seen it, it's not on Netflix, unfortunately, but they just came out with a collector's edition on Blu-ray on Amazon. It's about $20. It has commentary, a little bit everything else. The main kid actually is Brandon Adams. Some people might know him from the Mighty Ducks. I actually met him with my wife at a horror convention a couple years ago, and he was a great, great guy, very appreciative of his fans and stuff. And he actually had mentioned that they did commentary, and it happens to be on this, so I'm really excited to check that out. Prick out.
So I have to admit that I've never watched this movie before.
Okay.
And while you were discussing, I looked on iTunes. It is available on iTunes for $15.
Okay, cool.
So I'm a fan of Wes Craven. I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan. So that's something I want to, I've been meaning to check out anyway, regardless. It's something that, I think most horror fans have heard of, but it's something I never had the time or never ended up watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's not your normal horror movie. It's a pretty basic concept that a lot of movies have done, but it does it its own way. And, nothing about crazy twists or anything like that. It's just dark, in its own way. And I definitely recommend giving it a shot, even if you check out a trailer on YouTube, get a feel for it. They have some of the original trailers and stuff. Definitely recommend it on my prick list.
Another thorn prick that I can't shit on. We're building a lot of momentum on movies that I can't shit on.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. What's the good news?
So that's about it for entertainment. I think we didn't have too much for entertainment this week. We can focus a little bit more on video games than we had to rush through last week, and we can kind of take our time and move through video games at a nicer pace this week and make up for last show, even though I haven't heard any complaints about last show anyway.
Agreed.
So I'm going to skip a little bit of the news and jump around because there's just specific things that I know you have to discuss, Mr. Rose, from events that you've went to And there's one topic that I think is the meat of the news that I'm going to hold off till the end. And I think you know which one that is. So I'm going to mention Lego Dimensions first, which we got a trailer last week for, a new trailer that shows some of the adventure worlds. When you buy the new playsets that you'll unlock, you'll be able to do missions, stuff like that. And we also got the reveal that the Ghostbusters will be sets that you can purchase for additional cost, which is really making me add up all the things that I'm going to have to buy for this game. But they look pretty awesome. They're going to be a Slimer. There's going to be a miniature Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And then a Peter Venkman that comes with the actual level. Those are 3 sets I'm going to get stuck by.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Sounds good.
I just have to bring up my son up here. He wanted to come say hi to everybody. Say hi, everybody. Meow. For those watching the video. All right, Gray, go away.
My cat is completely knocked out cold on the windowsill. He is not moving for anything.
Well, that's better for you.
But very excited still for Lego Dimensions. And I'm really happy that they keep announcing stuff for it. And I don't know when that's going to be released. It's not on Best Buy still. I don't know if it's on Amazon. I don't think so.
As far as what, the Ghostbusters?
The Ghostbusters set.
I have a feeling that the stuff that they're talking about now is going to be like early 2016.
Well, some of the stuff has 2016 release dates already.
Right.
Some of the DC, like Aquaman and Superman, like they're only like $12 little sets or $14 little. They're not levels, but they have release dates of March of next year. So I don't know if those are just filler or not, but I'm assuming they're going to stretch out these releases. And then one other quick bit that we wanted to throw in there is that Mighty Number 9 has been delayed. It was supposed to come out the end of September in a crowded field of the next month or so of release dates. And it's been delayed, and we still have no date for it, correct?
Pretty much we were told it's going to be early 2016.
Yeah, early 2016 equal me cancel pre-order. That's how that worked out.
Oh man, it's crazy because they're not doing too well. And I talk about concept in the public eye because they did release a Kickstarter recently for another spiritual successor called Red Ash that is ultimately trying to be a Mega Man Legends spiritual successor, and that kind of shit the bed for the most part, just because they kind of went the Team Shenmue route, and they announced it, and then all of a sudden they mentioned that there was funding for the game from like a studio in China. So a lot of the fans kind of weren't happy with that, and they ended up pulling their money out of the campaign. So the last time I checked, there was over $4,000 pulled out of campaign funding for this game. Ultimately, the funding was going to go towards like extras for the game and not to actually develop the game. So it looks like the game is being funded by this other company that the name escapes me at the moment. But just the way that they handled it, it just showed the momentum drop completely. And then some footage leaked, and it didn't look too great, even though it was early. So
did it make its goal though?
I don't know if it's still running. I haven't checked it recently. While we're talking, I can definitely.
Well, what's the title of the game is Red Ash?
Red Ash, not ass.
Red Ash, my ass.
So between that and what happened with Mighty Number 9, it all happened within the same time frame. So it, ultimately it wasn't looking good, for them as a whole.
I don't see any.
So it looks like the goal was 150,000.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, it made its goal.
Yeah. So I mean, the idea what it was is they were doing stretch goals, and that's what everybody has done nowadays, and that's where the focus in the crowdfund went towards. I just feel that you shouldn't be putting out something like that when you're so close to releasing your first Kickstarter game.
Right.
So then you have this struggle with the campaign, and then you delay a game a little over a month before the release. That's shady news.
Well, even that amount is not really looking for that much, and it barely made it. But compared to what Mighty Number 9 made, it's like a huge difference.
Right, and if you think about it, they're essentially spiritual successors for the same realm of game.
Right.
As far as the Mega Man franchise, even though they're two totally different types of games. But it's just
you would think generally that the same people would be interested in both.
I would have thought so.
Right.
But I think that just a lot of people ended up having a bad taste in their mouth with the just pumping out another Kickstarter and just it not being up to snuff compared to Mighty Number 9, and everybody having their hopes up for Mighty Number 9. And this is actually the second time Mighty Number 9 was delayed because it was originally slated for April, which was part of the Kickstarter campaign itself. And so,
yeah, but you know what? When they delayed it the first time, we had this set date for a while. It's like, all right, this is the exact date. This is when it's coming out, and now it's been like, it's a little ridiculous. We're a month away from release.
Right, and the worst part about it is, Concept was withdrawing any comments on the matter. But retailers started sending out emails about pre-order dates getting changed. So that's where everything started trickling. Then everybody started reaching out to Concept, and that's when they eventually brought it up. And their reasoning behind the delay is the online components are just not where they need to be, and they want to make sure that the game is...
Then patch the online in afterwards. I want to play the single player. I don't give a shit about the online.
Well, that's the problem. They feel that they need to put out a full package, and you know what's going to happen is...
That's a bullshit excuse.
Right.
There'll be a day one patch.
So that's where we are with that. It's a shame because, co-developer Inti Creates is not really in the media front with that game because it seems like Concept is taking most of the direction as well as the blunt of the negativity. And with Inti, they're actually focusing on another one of their franchises that's actually their own. So, I had the pleasure of interviewing them. So I'm happy to see that, they're still doing what they got to do, and Concept is taking responsibility to try to get this whole thing sorted out. So hopefully the game, comes out early 2016 and not, early 2017, or just gets canceled.
Well, that would be crazy. But yeah. I had the game fully pre-ordered, paid in full. And you know what? I wasn't crazy waiting for it, so it's not that big a deal for me. But I had it paid off, and I knew it was a game that I'd just be able to go pick up because I had it paid off, and I ended up now canceling it because rather than leaving that full amount of money on there, there's a lot of games coming out in the next month and a half that I'm going to pick up between, Metal Gear, Until Dawn, Madden, Lego Dimensions. It's just a bunch of games that are coming out in the next month that I'd rather move that money around and, if we don't even have a set date.
I mean, what sucks too is like for some of us, we pre-ordered the collector's edition. I didn't contribute to the crowdfund when it came out last year, but they did announce a signature edition that ended up being $60 that comes with a figure. And it's like, I'm going to hold on to this pre-order for like a year now, even though I've already had it for like half a year.
Right. They should add some other stuff for everyone now. Since whether or not you had it pre-ordered or not, they should add something else, free DLC for whenever they launch DLC for the game.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if they'll do that. We'll see. Don't get your hopes up.
No, I'm not going to get my hopes up, obviously. Well, why don't you talk about some of the events that you've went to with your gaming age position? You can now talk about one that had a non-disclosure and one that didn't, that you actually had just went to on the 12th of August.
Yeah, no, definitely. First event that I was part of was a Activision Skylanders event that was a hands-on demo. So it was actually right before Gamescom, and pretty much weren't able to talk about it right away because a lot of the features that they announced at Gamescom we got to see a week earlier, which was really cool. I was never really a big Skylanders fan personally, but I've always picked up the games for my nephews, and they love the game. They love collecting all the figures, and they love making me go out to find the chaos traps when nobody has them, and it's just fun in games. But the newest edition of the game, even though it is the 5th iteration of Skylanders, is finally kind of revamped the idea of how the figures work with the Toys to Life concept, because now you have your story mode that you always had. You do have your co-op, but now you actually have vehicles, and the vehicles can actually be put into play for an entire separate mode, which is a racing mode that plays a lot like Mario Kart. It's kind of like a kid's version of Twisted Metal, it's more Mario Kart than anything, but you do get your weapons and stuff, and you actually have a weapon kind of at all times like Twisted Metal. Like you have that primary, secondary kind of thing. With Mario Kart, it's kind of just, you get your item box as you're racing. So that exists too. But the idea with Skylanders Superchargers is they give you the 3 types of vehicles now. You have your land, air, and sea. So, again, it's more figures to buy, stuff like that.
Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, that's another one that's perfect example. And the one thing that's really cool is Nintendo had announced a partnership with Activision and Skylanders to include 2 Nintendo characters with the Wii U and the Wii versions, which is Bowser and Donkey Kong, which I think is really cool. And the toys will actually work as amiibos as well as Skylanders figures. Amiibo! So at the event, we were able to play the game, get to see some of the figures up front. I was actually able to hold most of the figures that were available, including the Mario and the Donkey Kong. They look really cool. And, I think... What'd I say?
Mario.
Did I say Mario? That is weird. Bowser. Turtle Man. But, I thought it was a weird choice of characters because they're not favorites on my list. I would prefer like a Mario, but I guess that they fit the world of Skylanders more.
I think they deliberately probably pick those characters, Nintendo, because they didn't want to let them use Mario, or however you want to say it.
Mario. No, that totally makes sense. But that was one event that we did.
It's pretty crazy to just touch on that quickly before you go to the other event. It's pretty crazy that there's been 5 of those games, one every year.
Yeah, and what's even crazier with it is, this is the first year that they have a lot of competition.
Right.
You've had Infinity for the last 2 years, but now you have essentially 3 competitors. Yeah. Amiibos are not the same, but you still have them being hot in the market as a Toys to Life concept.
Right. I think Lego makes a bigger addition to the marketplace.
No, they're definitely the stiffest part of their competition because of variety. And I think that Lego is building their platform to last, to be reused, and to not make you have to buy something next year. I think they want to stretch the model out as far as they can. And I think that they'll be able to probably do add-ons to the portal that will be separate and less expensive than buying a whole nother edition.
And they're I mean, despite Disney owning all these franchises as far as Star Wars, Marvel, and then their own franchises, Lego is really branching out with the franchises that they have got the rights to, and they're making a ton of different franchises available in their game, which is pretty crazy that they're beating out Disney as far as franchises that they're throwing in these games. And a good mix of adult and children franchises. Kids don't care to play Back to the Future, Doctor Who, or Portal, or even maybe Ghostbusters
or Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, but it's pretty crazy that they've geared this all for both. I think it's a little more adult themed than child.
Without a doubt, if you just think about the franchises like you said, Ghostbusters, Portal. Even Scooby-Doo. I know kids like Scooby-Doo, but Scooby-Doo is, from our era and even earlier.
Right.
So it just goes to show.
Doctor Who.
Right. So you got a lot of variety, and I think that it was a smart move. When you look at Disney Infinity and Skylanders, they're a little more isolated. Obviously, your Disney Infinity, you're going to get your collectors, like people like you and I that will probably play the game casually, but we're there more to collect the figures than to actually utilize them.
Right, which sucks.
It does suck because they
similar to Nintendo, similar to the Amiibos.
Yep, because they're just on my wall, and that's it. I don't use them.
That's why I've ended up buying some of them, and I could count on a single hand how many times I've used them to actually do anything, just because I like the look of them.
Right. But yeah, that event was cool, and I look forward to. Most likely, I'll be reviewing Skylanders when it comes out, so we can always talk about that. When that time comes, which is towards the mid to end September. So we had a little time on that. But the second event that I did was the 12th of August, and that was a Namco Bandai hands-on event, which was actually multiple games, which was cool because it wasn't focused on one specific title. It was pretty much just about everything that they have on the market that's up and coming. A mixed variety between anime games, RPGs, to crazy games like Dark Souls. So, what do you have a nickname for that game, right? What was that nickname?
I believe they call it Frustrating Souls or Dark Frustration. Dark Frustration 3.
That's it. Okay. So
Dark Frustration Within Born 3.
Within Born 3.
Yeah. All the frustrating games from the past year.
There you go. So I'll just throw out the names of some of the stuff I got to play today. Tales of Zestria, MotoGP 2015, Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo.
Little Sebastian?
What? Sebastian Loeb? Sebastian? Am I cutting out? Little Caesars? Now you're cutting off. That sounds good. That
good. Okay.
Is what I hear. So, thank you, little Joker bag. Appreciate that.
Okay, continue.
Saint Seiya, which was a cool anime from early in days of Japan animations before stuff was getting sent here. It's a fighting game in the realm of the animated Dragon Ball, Naruto styles, but also Naruto, the Ninja Storm 4, One Piece, a lot of anime stuff because that's what Namco Bandai is known for. Sword Art Online. I mean, there's a ton of stuff.
The only game that sounds recognizable to me is Dark Souls and MotoGP.
Well, then there's Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Extreme.
Trunks?
Budoden. Yes, and this is for the 3DS.
Did they have something for Pac-Man?
They did not. It's crazy because
boo.
the anniversary is coming up, and Adam has been asking me every day. I said, "There's nothing at all." The last two games was Digimon Story, which is an RPG for PS4.
I can't believe Digimon even still exists.
Yeah, and it's using a lot of the old monsters from back when it first came out. And then Project Cross Zone 2, X Zone 2, which is the Capcom hybrid RPG for 3DS. It was actually cool. I liked the first one. I never finished it, but they made the sprites a lot bigger for the characters, so it looks a lot cooler and more fleshed out when they fight. And a lot of mixed combos. You can get 4 guys at one time on your team. I did some crazy Street Fighter style combo with Ryu, Ken, Mega Man, and Zero all at the same time. So the game seems like they put a lot more into the content. So I think I'll play that when it comes out. But for the most part, it was just kind of quick hands-on. You get a feel for the games. But the biggest one was Dark Souls 3. It was one of the first times it's been brought to the U.S. since it was announced at E3. Gamescom was the first time it was shown in playable form officially. So it was cool to get to try that. The game is pretty early in development, so they had it running on a laptop just to show you how early it is. They didn't have it running on a dev kit or anything. And unfortunately, it did crash a couple times. Somebody got to a crazy boss, and they were kicking its ass, and then it was kicking its ass back, and then a lot of fire effects came on, and it just started slugging, getting real slow.
When's it supposed to come out?
2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so probably April, May. So I really got.
It should be a little further along then.
No, it's unless they're just showing a really small portion of the game The demo that they gave us was the same demo that they showed at Gamescom, which was in this castle environment. And, maybe they're still working on a ton of other stuff, but it seems like this was fleshed out. It just maybe the laptop was being temperamental. So,
Okay.
But yeah, it was a great event. I had a blast. Thank you, Activision and Bandai, and pretty much everybody that invited us out to these events. And looking forward to when the games come out.
That sounds really cool. You know what? I especially like Arnold going into the lava pit as Benny gives the thumb into the screen. But I especially like that they didn't have a non-disclosure agreement for this event. I mean, they stand by their products, and whether good or bad, game crashing, buggy, this, that, they let you, if you go to an event, they let you talk about it and play it, whereas the Skylanders one, you had to wait. You couldn't discuss it on the show last time because they were waiting to reveal some of the features. But, I mean, if you're going to have people play it, let everybody know about it. Stand behind your product and help build some hype for it.
Well, the reason for that, too, is, when you do embargoes and stuff like that, for Skylanders, the biggest feature that was announced was actually, which I didn't mention, unfortunately, was online for the first time ever in the series. Right. So there will be online co-op for story, online racing versus all that stuff. Not cross-platform, but all platforms will be compatible with each other: PS3, PS4, 3DS, Wii U. They wanted to make sure that everybody had the proper assets to do the press releases when they announced the Gamescom, and the reason for that is because at Gamescom they didn't have actually like a press conference. They were just at their booths, and that's where they announced it. So they need the media. They need us.
No, I get it to an extent, and my comment wasn't a direct shot at Activision for the Skylanders event, but I just think in general, a lot of the non-disclosures and stuff like that, it's just stupid, I think.
No, I hear
Unless
you.
the game is terrible, it's not really sometimes no news is not good for a game when any news is good for,
right.
Any news is always good news. Media hype, whether it be on the Media Masterminds or on a website, it's good. It's good news usually.
Well, the other thing too was
Fantastic Four.
With Dark Souls, we weren't able to film at all. That was definitely embargoed. So,
right.
If anybody hasn't seen anything on it, if you do a YouTube search, there is a official trailer, and IGN did post like a walkthrough of pretty much the same area that we did. So if you're looking to see it, definitely check on YouTube. You'll find some official stuff for Dark Souls 3.
All right, pretty cool. I had one other thing before the last bit of news is they announced that the Rock Band 4 pre-order on the PlayStation 4 network, you'll get 10 additional titles if you're 10 additional songs if you're a PlayStation Plus member, which kind of sticks in my craw because all my DLC is on the Xbox, so I'm going to buy the Xbox One version. And some of those 10 songs I actually really liked, and apparently they are completely exclusive to Sony as of now. Who knows if 6 months, 8 months down the road that may change, but that kind of annoys me.
Well, that's the world we live in the U.S. Everything's got to be exclusive.
But even so, like, you can't make a Rock Band account similar to how you have a Blizzard account, and then you can sync everything over for whatever console. If you own both consoles, what's the difference? This
is what the difference is, baby.
Well, I vent. But the last big bit of news we just got actually today, August 12th. I don't like to usually mention the day, but Resident Evil 2 Remake is happening.
Ba-da-ba-ba.
So Capcom officially announced it. No videos or anything like that. I think it's probably literally just starting development as we speak about it. And it's by the same guy that remade 1, right? Am I correct in that?
It's
or did the remaster? Someone who did the remaster.
Yeah, I mean it's some of the developers that worked on the remasters, but I think the original guy has left the team, I'm pretty sure. So, they have a lot of work cut out for them because it's not the original guys that did the remaster. But ultimately they know that The original remaster was definitely, that's the example of that they have to stick by. They can't go any less than that. And I think that they might rebrand it a little bit, just to kind of update it, because obviously that when the remaster was done, we're talking on GameCube technically. But obviously, I think the biggest thing that they really changed for the PS4, Xbox 3, Xbox One releases was the controls. And that's
which will be by default, I'm sure.
Well, they give you both. They give you the tank
Yeah.
options, or you get the new full 360 control. I think they'll do the same thing. I'm curious to see what the character models that they go with, if they're going to go completely fresh, or they're going to kind of maybe take stuff from cues from the Dark Side Chronicles and Umbrella Chronicles from the Wii.
They hear the microphone a lot. I don't know if you're hitting into the microphone.
Say it again?
I hear the microphone a lot. I don't know if you're hitting into it or what.
No.
Okay.
Try it again.
You sound good now. It's just it was jarbling with your words.
Got it. But yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with character models, if they're gonna go fresh, which will be be refreshing, because ultimately we just keep getting re-release. If we get something completely from scratch, which is what they're insisting that they're doing from the drawing board. So
that's what I would assume. I assume it's going to be completely fresh, and I think the graphics would look better than the remaster, because now they have new next gen consoles to work with, and that's what they should look better than Revelations 2.
Well, I hope so, because that didn't look great to begin with.
Well, I mean, the environments aren't as big in 2 as some of the stuff you had in Revelations, or even I guess some of the similar to Resident Evil 1.
Well, I think that we're probably gonna get a mix between the static backgrounds that we've had from the original games with full render stuff now.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement, but at the same time, my biggest concern really is the character models, and I repeat that over and over, just because Claire and Leon have gotten a lot of airplay between CG movies, multiple games, and their design has been very inconsistent over the years. And Claire, up to most recent, she looks so sickly in Revelations 2. Like, she definitely looked like she had Ebola or something.
Well, I assume that they're going to use the engine from the remaster still, and just tweak and enhance the engine.
I think that would be a smart move, but I feel like the fact that they're stressing that it's not a remaster, that it is a remake, that I think that they're going to do something completely different.
No. I mean the remaster, the remake of 1 that they just released, but use that engine.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they're insisting that they're not doing the same stuff as 1 and 0, where those were considered remasters, even though they did a lot of reworking of the engine, the visuals. They said with this, it's like literally from scratch. Like, they're calling it a remake because they're remaking it from scratch, which means story might change slightly.
Right. But 1 was a remake, really, for the GameCube.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we'll get another take of that. I don't think that they'll pave the same path that they did.
I can almost guarantee they'll make you burn the zombies like 1.
Oh, I hope not. Sons of bitches. I mean, you got to think about the sheer volume of zombies in comparison from 1 to 2.
Yeah,
it's like triple the amount.
It'd be really annoying.
Yeah, but
I just want the save room sound effects. That's all I care about. I'll buy the game just for that.
You like that in the stereo, huh?
But I was actually discussing a little bit earlier tonight with former host on the show. He came on for a show, Mike, and we were talking about this release because now it's already gotten out there with a lot of people. The model for this will be, I'm going to say $40 full release. Not just digital. I think there's going to be a disc-based game.
I think it will be disc-based, and I think it will be $60.
That's why I don't know if they could get away with charging $60. That's what Mike was saying. That has a huge following. I'm like, I agree, it does have a huge following, but I don't know if $60 for it.
You got to realize granted that they were one of the few that only charged $20 for a remaster. $40 is a remaster price.
That's
Nobody's
what.
nobody's remaking games. Like there
Yeah.
really isn't many people. I feel that if they're going to be developing this and we're not going to get it for like 2 years, it's going to be $60. But I think that it'll be substantial content, and I can have wishful thinking that they throw some Easter eggs in for Resident Evil 1.5. Maybe have Elsa Walker in the game, which I think would be
If
amazeballs.
they throw in some extra content, maybe some additional missions and stuff like that, I'm okay with it. I love Resident Evil 2, so I'm probably picking it up regardless. But I would
I
hope
feel
they throw a little bit more content in there.
well. I think that they'll definitely revise the the early stages of the mercenaries combat because we did have it to some degree in part two. You had Tofu and Hunk introduced in that realm, so I think they might redefine that, and hopefully we don't get a multiplayer.
Which of course we definitely will. He definitely will.
But I think it could be cool if it ties back into something we've spoken about in the past, which maybe redefine the co-op and you have Leon and Claire playable at the same time.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I would get rock hard for that. Like totally.
Oh, God. You already are rock hard.
No, it's too late for that.
So let's move on into what we're playing. You want to start? Or you want me to start? What do you want to do with here?
Go ahead. Go. Do your thing.
Well, I really only have one major thing, and I've been playing a ton of it, is Rare Replay. It's going to sound like an infomercial for Rare Replay because I got screwed by the Microsoft store. They were supposed to send a copy to me, and you get like $15 in Xbox Live rewards. That didn't happen. They ended up canceling it on me, so I just bought it digitally on the system, so I don't have to worry about putting a disc in or anything like that. But for $30, you get 30 games. It's a great value. If you don't already own some of the backwards compatible stuff, you get those also for the Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Perfect Dark Zero, Cameo, Viva Pinata 2, Jetpack Refueled. So those are all already on the 360. You get those games. Then you get Killer Instinct, Blast Corps, which is a former Pops pick, Jet Force Gemini, RC Pro-Am. I could just keep going. Grab by Ghoulies, one of Benny's favorite games ever. Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Thank you. Jesus Christ.
You could just keep going on. I went back to Banjo-Kazooie, and I'm right at the end. I'm literally at the Grunty fight. I just did the trivia game that you do before you fight her, and I have 100% of everything. I've gotten all the jiggies, all the musical notes, everything in the game.
Jiggy with it, huh? You got jiggy with it?
Oh, I got jiggy with it.
Nice.
Banjo Nuts and Bolts is also included, which I tried to start, and I have not gotten really into it at all. I don't like the car aspect to it so far. I played a ton of Blast Corps already. I'm pretty far in that also, and it's an awesome value for $30. You get a lot of content as far as videos and stuff like that to unlock, and even just playing the games. Battletoads is in there. I mean, you can go a little bit more into it. I really like the collection.
Legend Pop approved.
You don't have anything to add for it?
I asked you if it was Legend Pop approved.
Oh, it 100% is.
There you go. I mean, the only reason I even bought that collection. Well, I didn't buy that collection, but the only reason I got that collection was for Conker. I was very privileged, and thank you, Rare and Microsoft, for sending me my review copy. I did a review for it. I love the entire compilation. I would have spent $30 on just Conker, getting it in the original form, despite the game's shortcomings with dated controls, which is pretty much the only issue I have with the entire collection. It seems like that they're in the works for some games, and hopefully Conker will be one of them, that they get us some modern controls, for like the combat portions, because it's like back in the old school, like pretty much imagine Turok 2 put on Xbox One with N64 controls. It would be ass backwards because we didn't have dual sticks. The camera buttons were actually the walk and the strafe. It was like so bizarre, and it was welcome at the time. It just doesn't work now, and it's very hard to get the controls working. And I'm really far in Conquer, but I'm most of the points where like you have to shoot, and it's just such a pain in the balls. But highly recommended for the entire collection. Battletoads Arcade, which was never officially ported to a console. In all the years that it was, around, it was pretty much arcade only or emulators. What else? That's pretty much literally is the game I played. I play a little bit of everything, but
I'm also interested to play Conquer, but I for some reason, even though I had it already and I'm on the Xbox preview program, so I've been playing the backwards compatible games that they've already allowed. I don't know. I really jumped into Banjo-Kazooie and Blast Corps because that was another Pops pick. I ran through a bunch of that already. Also, I'm actually up to the final stages, the hard stages, where they get really frustrating. They get Dark Soul Within Born frustrating, and those controls aren't great either, so they can get extra frustrating.
Nice, but definitely you're getting a high recommendation from the Media Masterminds. If you have an Xbox One and you haven't picked up Rare Replay, get off your ass and do it. It's definitely worth every penny. $1 a game. I mean, literally, if you buy 2 of the games from the Xbox Live collection on 360, you're going to spend close to $30. Just to get
you know
value.
what's funny? I read an article somewhere else, and this game has like, I think they said 7 Nintendo 64 games on it, and the Wii U Virtual Console doesn't even have that many. It's pretty sad on Nintendo's front that Rare has made such a great collection of games, and Nintendo has yet to do anything. And they could cash in easily and do that collection, but they haven't.
Well, they suck when it comes to that, and we know that they have these, little disagreements that nothing gets discussed. But stuff like GoldenEye, people wish that the game would get ported over, and Killer Instinct 1 and 2, like regular console versions, whatever it may be. There's just a lot of red tape that nobody wants to go through at this point, and I'm thankful we got what we got.
Right.
So I think that's mostly what has been played in that time frame from the last time we did the show. The only other thing for me is a little device that I was sent from this company called Amiquo. So it's pretty much Amiibo. Would take the B out and put a Q. It's essentially it's a little card, for the little people that are going to watch the video, but it almost looks like an Amiibo base. But the idea with it is you use an Android device and you're able to store the data from your Amiibo onto it. So like this device is great for somebody that, competes and actively uses the Amiibo features. You're able to store your Amiibo data on here instead of walking around with a toy and looking like a complete tool bag. Oh, let me pull my Link out of my ass to fight you in Smash Brothers, or I'm going to be on the bus and I want to unlock, a feature in the game. Let me pull out my Wario out of my freaking left pocket.
So let me ask you something. If say, is there a way that with that device I could just download the data for a character without actually owning it? Say I wanted Dr. Mario.
You technically absolutely can if you can get the data from somebody that has the Amiibo, essentially. Obviously, Nintendo is not going to endorse this.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, that device is not licensed by Nintendo either.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, the ultimate premise of the selling point for them is that the device can store up to 200 Amiibos.
Right.
So it's a lot of data, but the thing is, in order to get through each Amiibo, you have to press a button on the side to switch between them. So imagine you want Amiibo number 50. Have fun.
Oh, you got to 50 times?
Yeah, and you got to go through it. You got to scan it on the device, too, to make sure you have the right one. So I recommend if somebody ends up picking one up, basically you definitely put a small bank of, maybe 4, 6 at a time, and you could rotate through them a lot quicker. I did a little demo for a couple people, and the extreme use of the device is like I did a 4-player match on Smash Brothers 3DS, and I picked the player 1 character, and then the other 3 slots were Amiibo slots, and I was able to put 3 separate Amiibo using just the one device. It gets a little finicky when it comes to when the match is over and you need to save the data again, because then you have to loop through them, and sometimes it doesn't work. So I wouldn't recommend using it for more than one amiibo at a time. But what's great about the device is they give you, I think, about like 10 amiibo in the package, and like 5
So
of
that
them.
basically answers my question. It already comes preloaded with some amiibos.
Yeah, and it comes with a couple that aren't even out yet, which is Rob,
Clever. Very clever.
Ganon, and Falco. So the other thing too is the device can only be configured with an Android smartphone that has NFC. So, for example, a Galaxy S3. If it doesn't have NFC, it will not read it. So it's a little limited on the software aspect of it.
What is the retail?
The retail on most of their reseller sites is about $80.
Oh, wow. Pretty pricey.
So, you think about the price of a flash card that's out there for like a 3DS or, anything that essentially lets you back up your types of devices because it's got built-in memory. So it's definitely cool. It's really for the people that actively use amiibos. It's not really for anything else other than that.
All right, very good. Anything else you wanted to mention before we go into Pop's pick?
Shit. I can't remember if I went back into, I blew the dust off my 360 and started playing some old Xbox Live games. I've been playing a lot of Earthworm Jim HD because I didn't play it when I bought it, and I forgot how much I love that game. Actually preparing for a spiritual successor from the creator called Omicrog, which should be coming out next week. So prepping for that, and I am playing Dark Souls 1 and 2 simultaneously.
Oh,
Why? Why? I don't know. Because Dark Souls 1 was free at one point on Xbox, so I played the free version. And then I picked up a used copy of Dark Souls 2 on the PS4 because I wanted to just see how it played, and I seemed to be playing 2 a lot more than 1. 1 was closer in the realms of Demon Souls, so it's a lot slower paced, whereas Dark Souls 2 feels a lot more reminiscent of Bloodborne, which I'm familiar with. So that's pretty much all I've been playing. I might pick up Everybody's Gone to Rapture. One of the staff members at Gaming Age did a review on it, and he wrote a really deep, involved interview, and I really enjoyed what he had to say, and he's gotten me wanting to play it. I'm not expecting anything extravagant with that type of game, but I love stuff like that. So that's
from reading about it, it sounds pretty cool, but then I watched some gameplay and it looked really slow and boring, so I'm probably not going to bother with it.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. It is slow and boring, and apparently somebody found a sprint button.
Yeah,
so
but you know how much faster you go?
No,
like 0.millisecond faster. It doesn't even, you can't even notice the difference.
It's crazy.
Okay, so that's about it for that. We'll jump right into the Pops pick because I really have to pee. And,
all right, hurry up. Hurry up. Stop drinking water. You're so loud.
Back to the Future, the game, which was released by Telltale Games for the PS3, PC. Did it come out for the Xbox also? I don't think so.
No.
I think it was just the PC and the PlayStation 3.
And it was one of Telltale's earlier games before they were cool in a lot of people's eyes.
Well, it was after The Walking Dead.
Well, I feel like they got more notoriety with the other games, and a lot of people don't talk about Back to the Future, but it was a great game.
Yeah, I agree. It was a PlayStation Plus title for a while too. So if you haven't and you haven't played it, it's a game you should definitely pick up. It is a point and click game. You do walk around with the character Marty. Marty for the most part, I think, in almost all of the game.
Marty.
But it has some of the original voices. It has Christopher Lloyd. It has a Michael J. Fox approved person to voice his role of Marty in the game, and it's basically part 4 of if there ever was a movie where Doc has gone missing, and you have to do what you need to do to find Doc.
Marty!
That's really all I have to say about it. You could probably get it really cheap you could buy it episodically on the PC or on the PlayStation Network if you don't want to buy the disc-based version, is which I'm holding up in the video. I think I even have the PlayStation Plus version on my PlayStation account anyway, but I prefer the disc for that particular game. Maybe if it was the PS4 or the Xbox One, I wouldn't, considering what I talked about with a rare replay, and I could just turn it on whenever I like. But it's broken down into episodes, so you can play the episode, see if you like it, try episode 1. I'm sure you can get it really cheap on the computer. But it's really cool, and it really feels in the same vein as the movie. It even has like the soundtrack. So it's Telltale's done an awesome job with a lot of stuff. They even did the Game of Thrones, and I believe next year or the year after they're going to do a Marvel point-and-click game.
Yeah, we have Tales of Borderlands out as well.
Yeah. So that's, I think, about it. Do you have anything else to add, Mr. Rose, for this week's show?
Dun, 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 dun. No, I think we pretty much touched base on a little bit of everything, and you won't hear from us for a little bit. You know, you're going on a little vacation, and like you said, I think it might be better we do kind of like the bi-weekly thing for now until we start getting some substantial news and stuff like that. I think after the summer,
right.
And we just make sure we're chock full of content, and just if you guys are listening, from the beginning, thank you. If you're new, welcome. We appreciate you hanging out, and just help us spread the word. TheMediaMasterminds.com. We have a lot of great stuff to look forward to with all these great releases, and August, September, October into the holidays, and it's just going to be.
I'm sure business will pick up towards the end of this month, beginning of September.
Yes, sir. Until then, stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Goodbye, Moon Men.